In part 2 of this exercise, we're going to be setting up domains and subtypes. Now, domains and subtypes, I think, are great tools just to make your job easier, but they're even more important when we're doing real-time data collection or collecting GIS data in the field with a smart device on Collector for ArcGIS or something like that. The reason for that is we want to make data entry as easy as possible and eliminate typos, those sorts of data entry errors that oftentimes occur out in the field. If we can eliminate people typing, the need for people to type information into the computer or into their mobile device while they're in the field, then we've done a great job. So we want to provide as many drop-down list boxes as we can, and the way that we do that is through the use of coded value attribute domains or something similar to that. So again, from the catalog pane, I'm now going to go to my real-time GIS geodatabase. And what I'm going to do here is, again, from the geodatabase or workspace level, I'm going to right-click here and choose from this flyout menu, I'm going to choose domains. So I'm going to create a brand new domain. Now bring your attention over to the center of the screen here and notice that we simply got to provide some information here. So the domain name, I'll start here. I'm simply going to call it ratings. Now the interesting thing about domains is if you craft them carefully enough, you can use one domain across a large number of attributes. It isn't like you have to create one domain for every attribute. Not at all. We can use this same ratings domain for the cost rating as well as for the my rating, maybe how good the food tastes or something like that. To move between these different parts of this domain setup tool or domain builder tool, I like to use the tab key on my keyboard. The description here is, let's just say it's generic ratings domain to be applied throughout the database. A lot of folks want to kind of skim over, pass over the description, but what I've learned is that just spending just a little bit of time to document what you are designing this domain to be used for, how you're planning it to be used, just a simple little sentence can really be helpful in the future to other people using it, or even just to remind yourself, what did I create this thing for? What was my thought process? Again, I'm going to click on the tab. This field type, it's very important that the field type matches the data type or field type that we're going to apply this to. So remember, we built everything as short integers, so this domain needs to be a short integer as well. It is coded value attribute domain. Split and merge policy, well, we talk about that in our geodatabases workshop. Not going to talk about it too much right here. It's much more applicable for polygon feature types than it is for points. So now I'm going to jump all the way over here to this little table, and it's a really little table, and a lot of folks just don't even see it, but we got to look at this. This is really where our information goes. So the value of here, the code value, this is the value that's actually stored in the database. So it has to be a short integer, 0. I like to use, oftentimes I'll use 0 as an unknown or something like that, but in this case, 0 is an actual rating. So I could say 0, this is what you're going to see in the field, very low. Now I press tab, give me new line, 1, I might call this low. The value of 2, I'll say this is medium. And finally 4, very high. Now this thing is done, and what I want you to pay attention to is the fact that everything is showing green. We're seeing green everywhere. That's telling you it looks good. Okay? And if you see red somewhere here, it means something, you got a mistake somewhere. So you won't be able to click the Save button. And this is the other thing I want to draw your attention to, is the Save button. Before we leave this page right here, we have to commit our edits. So it's really important we click Save here, not Save here. This simply saves the project, but this still needs to be saved. We're saving our domain, so I'm clicking. There, that domain is completed. Notice all the green went away. That means that we have made these changes. It is now complete. Hey, we can still make additional changes to it. I could change the description and so on and so forth with it, in which case we'd have to save it once again. But we're done now with the domain setup. So I'm going to close the domain screen, and now what we want to do is we want to apply this domain to our restaurants feature class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here to my catalog pane, locate the restaurants feature class, right click on the restaurants feature class, and from the flyout menu I'm going to choose Design Fields. Now again, drawing our attention over here to the center of the screen, I see all the different fields that I created, and I see a column to identify the domains that I want applied. If I come over here to this My Ratings, I see that I can apply the ratings domain that we just created to this field. I can do the same thing for the cost rating field as well. Now notice that once again we're seeing this green boxes appear. That simply means that we have modified the structure of this database table, requiring us to save those changes, or we exit out and we don't save those changes. But I want to go ahead and I do want to make a change, so I'm going to click on Save. I want to commit these changes. I am done now with the Field Designer, and so I'll close it up. Once again, returning to the catalog pane, I'm going to right-click the restaurant's feature class and again choose Design, but this time not domains, not fields, but rather subtypes. So what you'll notice again is that ArcGIS Pro is very context sensitive, context aware. So now we have a subtypes menu and ribbon that has appeared for us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the Create Manage button from the ribbon right here. And now this new window appears called Manage Subtypes. And the subtype field is going to be our restaurant type field. Well, we simply called it type and we put an alias over it of restaurant type. So this is the field we want to make use of. And now I'm going to jump past the default subtype and enter in some subtypes. We can't apply a default subtype until we have some subtypes created. So we're going to jump now down to this little table, and I'm going to enter a value of 0. I'm going to call, again, I'm pressing the tab to move. Call this Other. Subtype of 1. Notice again that these are short integers that I'm entering, which is the data type for this type or restaurant type field. I'm going to simply call this fast food. And number 2, I'm only going to enter a few here. We'll call this family style. Lastly, I'm going to take a look at this default subtype, and it is set to actually what I want, which is Other. But if I want the default subtype to be either fast food or family style, or of course we could have a bunch of additional entries here, I could select one of those. But I will stick with other as my default subtype. Now I'm going to click OK. And notice how this whole screen now has been populated for me. It was very complex looking just a minute ago, but it really looks like ArcGIS Pro did all the work for us, and indeed it did. Lastly, I'm going to save the subtypes, and now part 2 of this exercise has been completed. Save the project.